Leading at the top of this hour, a group calling itself South Africans Against Apartheid India is marching to the offices of the Indian Consulate General in Johannesburg today to protest against a controversial new citizenship law. The Citizenship Amendment Act makes it easier for non-Muslims in Afghanistan, Bangladesh and Pakistan who settled in India prior to 2015 to obtain Indian citizenship. Well, 23 people have been killed in protests across India since Parliament passed the law earlier this month. SABC's Chriselda Lewis is outside the Indian Consulate in Parktown in Johannesburg with a group of protesters. A very good morning to you, Chriselda. Essentially, take us through the plight and the main aims for the protest this morning.
Well, that's right, Shante. A group calling itself or gathered under the banner South Africans Against Indian Apartheid have already started their protest outside the Indian Consulate here in Parktown in Johannesburg, as you've indicated. Well, they're gathered here, they say, in solidarity against, the protests that are taking place in India. We've seen a wave of protests in that country against the new citizenship law, which critics say marginalizes and blocks the naturalization of Muslims in that country. I earlier indicated, you have a population of about 1.8 billion people in that country, 14% approximately being Muslims. And what these protesters here behind me are saying is that the sentiment or this new law rather that has been passed in that country's parliament marginalizes Muslims. Let's get more clarity on this now and why it was important for this protest to take place here in South Africa. Joining me first is Rais Nurbai, who is gathered here with the group of protesters under that banner, South Africans Against Apartheid India. Rais, thank you very much indeed for your time. Talk to us first of all about why you are here today.
So we're here today because the Citizenship Amendment Act is blatantly discriminatory. It allows for migrants to India from Pakistan, Bangladesh and Afghanistan to obtain citizenship if they are of the Hindu, Jain, Buddhist faiths, but conspicuously leaves out Muslims, and in combination with the National Register of Citizens, where every Indian citizen needs to produce a set of documents proving ancestral links to India, this will result in millions of people being left stateless, being stripped of their human rights, stripped of their dignity and potentially being sent to detention camps. So we are here today because of the fact that there's a moral urgency for us to be here, because we are seeing India slide deeper and deeper into fascism, which is something that we've seen from this government before, because the current Indian government, the BJP-led government, is a government led by a man who, in 2002, when he was the Chief Minister of Gujarat, oversaw a pogrom against Muslims in which thousands of people died. And the BJP as an organization, their mother body, called RSS, is an organization which openly admires Hitler and Mussolini. So it's not like these people are anything other than what they're telling us, which is that they are fascists. And I think the time has come for us to fight this fascism.
Part of what I see was contained in your statement is that you're calling for a scrapping of this law, and part of the memorandum which you'll be handing over here today, you're calling for the release of the protesters who have been detained. We've seen a wave of protests across several states in India. Talk to us a bit about what message you will be sending in that memorandum.
So the message we're sending in that memorandum, firstly to Indian protesters and Indian students, is that you are not alone. It's that the world is watching and we are ready to stand up in solidarity with you. The message that we are sending to the Indian government is that we will no longer coexist and tolerate fascism. And this is the message being sent in the memorandum, that we demand that India abides by its own constitution, because this undermines the Indian constitution. The way Arundhati Roy, the writer, puts it, is that it breaks the back of India's constitution. It threatens its secular values. And so what we are here to send a message today is that we will not go quietly while India surrenders its secular democracy to fascists. And so that is the message being sent today to the Indian government and to the protesters as well, that we do stand in solidarity with those protesters who have been brutalized. And I think that's crucial as well. The Indian state has cut internet access in 5 states. They've brutally gone into university campuses, have beaten students, have arrested students en masse. And so that is why we are here today.
Let me bring in someone else who slightly disagrees with you there. Sir, if you could come through this way, well, let me come a bit closer to you. Tushar Das, who's with the Indian community here in South Africa. You were saying that the new law itself doesn't necessarily marginalize Muslim people. Let's talk to you a bit about that. You're sort of against the march taking place here today.
Because I would like to say that, first of all, let me clarify and rectify, this is not a new law. Indian Citizenship Act, or whatever we call NRC, it started in 1955. After that, there are multiple changes, multiple amendments has been done. So this is what is being talked about, the CAA. It was basically CAB that as a bill, and now it has become an act. So CAA, it is a new amendment. It is not a new law. Next is NRC. NRC from 1955 it is there. I would like to clarify what is NRC. I don't think majority of the people doesn't even know what is NRC. NRC is National Register of Citizenship. Look, anybody is a citizen of India. There is a register for that. Okay, this is there. So every country has. Even South Africa has got that, isn't it? We should know how many people are citizens, how many are non-citizens coming from for different reasons. So NRC is there from a long time. Now, NRC, the new changes of the NRC or amendment, it has not been come into the effect. None of the people here will ever have a copy of the NRC amendment draft bill. Also, it has not been published. It is still being discussed in a state called Assam, which is a border state of India. There was a primary implementation started. It's not the entire India. Started there. There was some, what you can say, like, it didn't work out properly. Then rectifications are happening and everything is happening. And now, right now, I would like to say the CAA, it is absolutely not, in fact, not against Muslim or any particular religion. Because what is happening, there was, if you see when the partition happened and everything, there was, during 1951, I believe, in the month of, I'm not very clear about the dates, but in month of April, there is a pact between our ex-Prime Minister, Mr. Nehru, and Liaquat Ali Khan of the Prime Minister of Pakistan. When they came in and after the partition, a lot of people were suffering because people were going from India to that side, from that side people were coming in. And there was a pact, said that, okay, we should protect, all the countries should protect their minorities from the core of their heart. And if later, if somebody is being tortured, somebody is being brutalized or somebody is being killed, they can come back to their own country. There was a law. There was a pact which has happened in 1951. After that, I would like to mention, when people are telling anti-Muslim, specifically I would like to say, in India, during 1951, let me take that, in Bangladesh, there was around 24% Hindus. In Pakistan, there was almost around that similar kind of thing, maybe 21, 22, 23% of Hindus. Yeah. Today, if it is, in fact, we would like to share, today Pakistan's Hindu population is maybe 2% to 3%.
Okay, I just want to...
I'm just trying to bring it. It is not against Muslims or anything specific. In India, we have got 0.35 billion Muslims. Yeah. We have...
But the Muslim community feels that this does marginalize against them. It blocks their naturalization. I mean, there are so many people who are on the streets in that country. Right. There have been clashes with police. Several people have been killed. Are you saying that they don't have a basis for their claims?
Yes, definitely people has got misunderstanding on certain things. And these things are being clarified. I would like to say specifically in universities, there is a specific university called Jamia Millia Islamia. Okay, where 55% of the students are Muslims and they are thinking it's against them. Because if you see, if it is not complete, you have got thousands of universities in India. Maybe 2 or 3 universities students has come up and majority of them are Muslims. I understand they have got a fear which has to be clarified. But definitely it has got nothing to do with any other countries other than Pakistan, Bangladesh and Afghanistan, because people, non-Muslim people who are coming in, they will get some specific advantage. That is what has been given. Nobody said that Muslims are being sent out from India. And it's absolute rubbish, to be very precise. Because of either misunderstanding, either false, in fact, information, or I don't know for what. They're simply protesting.
All right. Let's bring you in, Race, to respond to that. He says it's absolute rubbish, to quote him, and that there's no necessity for this protest in solidarity here in South Africa.
So, I mean, when you say it's not on the basis of religion, it has nothing to do with marginalizing Muslims, then how do you explain away the fact that Muslims have explicitly or rather implicitly being left out of this law? And so Muslims are not protected under a measure where people of other faiths are. And it's not just Muslims, it's minority faiths as well. But primarily Muslims have been left out of this. So I don't know how you can say that this isn't anti-Muslim when it is a measure that doesn't include Muslim for the naturalizations of citizens. The other thing on the NRC is the NRC isn't just a register of citizens. The way Arundhati Roy, to come back to her interview, what she said is it takes a citizenry and it takes citizens and makes them into petitioners, where they have to go to the state and say, this is my historical background in India, I should get citizenship on account of that. And so people do not automatically qualify as being citizens, despite having lived in India for decades. And this discriminates not just against Muslims, but against Dalits, against the poor. And so it is a very dangerous piece of legislation when you look at the CAA and the NRC coming together. And it will result in millions of Muslims not being able to produce those documents, being sent to detention camps, being stripped of their human rights, being left stateless.
Part of the accusation is that some of those Muslims do not have that documentation, sir. So that is a point that is being made at the moment. Yeah.
Sure, let me clarify. So I'll bring it into a South African context. If you say somebody is a South African citizen, what would you like to get from him? Either in fact, citizenship card, passport or something. Do you think it's very illegitimate to ask for it? Like if you're a citizen, you should have a passport or you have identity card or something. So all the citizens of India has that. Okay, now the NRC is only talking about illegal immigrants. And that is the only clause on NRC. NRC never talks about citizens of India. And now it is, yes, there can be fear for people. You have to prove your citizenship. If somebody tells me that I have to prove my citizenship, I have a passport, or I have got multiple other things where I can prove that, okay, I am a citizen. Similar for so many 0.35 billion people. They also have the similar kind of documents and everything. Majority of them have passport or some Aadhaar card or everything. Everybody has that. Yeah. If somebody doesn't have, there are other domicile certificates, other things where they can prove. It is just creating fear on people. You have to prove. Nobody is telling that you have to prove and in fact fix your citizenship. It's because people who will be identified. I will tell you in Assam, when this NRC happened, in Assam there are almost 12 lakhs of Hindus which were identified that they have come from the Bangladesh. They are not citizens of India. It is not for Muslims only. There are 12 or 13 lakhs. So it is not, whoever is the citizen, what is there for them to fear? If somebody is telling that you have to go and prove, no, nobody is asking for your proof.
All right. So we're going to have to leave it there. Two opposing sides, of course. Thank you very much to you both indeed for your time. The opposing views here outside the Indian Consulate in Parktown, Johannesburg, where essentially the group that is standing here towards my right, gathering under that banner, Shante, South Africans Against Apartheid India, they're saying that this is basically a solidarity march. We've seen that wave of protests in India, various states there. Several people have been killed in protests, clashes between the protesters as well as the police in that country. So this group here in South Africa says it wants to march in solidarity at about 11 o'clock this morning. They'll be handing over a memorandum of demands. We're not sure to who yet here outside the consulate. But essentially what they are saying is that that new citizenship law in that country is discriminating against Muslims and basically blocks their naturalization. They say it pushes also an anti-Muslim agenda. That is the sentiment that they're sharing here this morning. But of course, opposing sides, others also gathered here towards my left. The gentleman who I just spoke to, who says that there needs to be a lot of more clarification with regard to this new legislation that has been passed in India. But we'll hear from both sides certainly as this protest continues and that memorandum. We'll hope to bring that live to you outside the Indian Consulate here in Parktown, Johannesburg.
Indeed, let's leave it there. Chriselda Lewis for SABC News giving us more updates on that Solidarity March set to take place just after 11 a.m. this morning. We'll make sure we do keep you up to date with any live updates as and when they come in.